Hi everyone, Kelly here again, and today I have Lydia Butterfield with Butterfield Music Academy. We're going to be talking about how Lydia built her dream studio, and as part of that, grew her revenue to almost 4 times what it was before, which is just astonishing, really exciting. So, Lydia, I'd love to kind of start, if you don't mind, with a little introduction. Tell us a bit about you and your studio.
Well, my name is Lydia Butterfield. I teach violin, viola, uh, and I've been running this studio for almost 2 years now. And so it's been several years coming. I have been dreaming of this since I went for my master's in 2021. Um, and so, yes, that's why we say it's my dream studio because it's been, several years now that I've been waiting for this point. Uh, Something unique about my studio, I think, is it's in a pretty rural area in Ohio. And so I knew going in that that would be a challenge.
Sure.
And part of that challenge is there's very few string orchestras in
Mm,
schools in this area. There's like three. And so a lot of my students don't come from these string orchestras. Actually, a lot of them are
mm,
beginners, homeschool students, and just people kind of like me. When I actually grew up in this area, I didn't have a string orchestra in my school, and well, I mean, I was homeschooled actually, and so I didn't have that option to play with a string
mm.
orchestra, and I had to learn through private lessons in this area. So I knew it would come with challenges, but I wanted to offer the same thing to students in this area. And so it's been such a blessing, and I'm so excited that I get to fulfill that and live it now.
Oh, I'm so excited. Well, and as you said in the beginning when we first met, you brought up that challenge right away. Like I'm worried that if I try to go to a bunch of school visits, I'm not going to get any bites because who am I emailing? Who am I
Yes.
reaching out to? What does that look like? So of course you got a little creative in some of this, but I think also something that's cool about your studio, if I can like hype you up for a second, something that's cool is that because students don't have those ensemble programs, my understanding is that you're trying to create some of those opportunities for them too, like create
Yeah.
opportunities for them to collaborate. So it's not just private lessons. Yeah. Tell us a
Yes.
little more about
Yeah.
that because it's so cool. I love what you're doing.
Yes. So I love to offer for recitals. I will sometimes pair up students for
Mm,
duets or trios, and they'll do little chamber groups. And I do that like early on now. So I even have had students who've only been playing for about a year doing this,
I
and
love that.
it's so fun. And I think it builds really great skills. And I think that it's a skill that kids can learn early on.
Mm.
So why not throw them into this? I also, over the summer, I will be doing a cello quartet.
Oh,
Um,
I love that.
so I am so excited for that. And we're talking about the option that at the end of the summer, we'll just like perform at a little venue.
Mm.
Just like there's like a little coffee shop in town. I might see if we can go there and just do a little kind of performance at the end of all of this, and
That's
hopefully
awesome.
maybe track some more students that way as well. Yeah, so
Yeah.
really excited about that.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, you're right. Students can learn the skill early. And also, when they don't have that community around the instrument, like you're just practicing on your own and then you go to the recital once or twice a year and share, the progress that you're making individually, that's great, of course. But having that opportunity when it doesn't exist in the school system in particular to work together and hear what other people are working on and make friends around music and have the studio be
Hmm.
more of a community, it's such an impact on their progress, but also
Hmm.
like they get the bigger picture of what's possible
Yes.
and what they can
Yeah.
do, which is also really exciting to have a longer term vision of that. So I love it. So excited. That's so
Yes.
cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we talk about like making your studio unique? I think we've touched on a lot of the big points, but is there anything else in your pedagogical approach that you'd like to highlight before we talk about your studio growth and journey?
Yeah. A lot of my approach is, of course, we want to strive for the best and playing our best, and that's going to look different for everyone, of course.
Mm,
Um, But I also am flexible, and I always tell them, if you have because music isn't their main thing usually. If you have an extra busy week this week, tell me, and we can scale down the assignment for that week. And so I try to offer this kind of flexibility, and I've been working with several students this year as well who really struggle with like perfectionism,
Mm.
and it's something they came into the studio with, and we've been working really hard, and it's so amazing to see some of the work that I've been doing with them. Like, mistakes aren't that big of a deal. It's just a mistake. Uh, these kinds of things, how that is transferring now into their personal life. Everything.
Yeah.
I recently had a recital with my students just a week ago, and I was actually more proud of some of these students who performed
Mm.
and made mistakes during the performance, but kept going. And that's
Yeah.
something that like we've been really working on, and I just was like so excited because I mean, if they gave a perfect performance, of course I'd be proud, but I think, just a little bit more proud that they made the mistakes and just kept going regardless. And so yes, I was so happy that that work is paying off there.
Yeah. Well, music is such a safe space for that. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've heard me say, I tell my students all the time, like, no one dies if you squeak on the clarinet. Like, it's not that big of a deal. This is low pressure. Like,
Right.
but also what you're teaching them is not just how to work through the problems as it comes up, but also how to scale their on workload. Like you were saying, okay, if it's a busy week, then let's be honest about that. Let's be proactive about that. And rather than trying to keep up with the same and sustain the same workload, which is exhausting and overwhelming and probably not great for our balance and our mental health and our sleep schedule, how do we manage that? How do we plan ahead? How do we reprioritize that time? Those are skills that students need to learn into adulthood
Mm-hmm.
and apply. So I love so much that you're using lessons as, again, like just a little example of that, a little safe environment for them to experiment, learn, try, get feedback and support from an adult who is listening and values their input there too. It's so valuable.
Yes.
So valuable. Oh my gosh.
100%.
Okay, so you have this fabulous studio and a really great teaching style, and it is your passion. And you went to grad school thinking, I'm going to really double down on this and grow the studio. When we met, we had some frustrations in the studio growth. We were running into some hiccups. Walk us through what that looked like.
Honestly, coming out of my master's, I thought that I would have more business knowledge.
Mm,
Um, I
yeah,
I had a fantastic cello professor there. He really prepared me on the pedagogical side. On
amazing.
I exploded in my playing, and therefore I exploded in my teaching. I feel like
Yeah.
I am 10 times the teacher I was before the master's degree. Um, but I unfortunately did not have the business side, and I thought that I would get a little bit more from that. So that was kind of the frustration there, as I had no idea what I was doing on the business side. And that was the
You're
scary
not
part.
alone.
Yes. That was the scariest part for me when I like realized this dream. And actually, I mean, I wanted to teach. I knew that I wanted to
Yeah.
teach for even longer. But the thing that was holding me back was I don't know how to run a business. I shouldn't even mess with that. Like,
Mm,
and so, but then I was just like, well, I'm scared, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So then I went, got my master's, and I still came out not knowing what to do on the business side. So it was when we first started, I wasn't on a flat rate system. I was charging per lesson. And so I was losing a lot of money because
mm,
anytime someone would cancel, I would lose that revenue there. Um, and I didn't really have a consistent monthly revenue that I could even tell you at the time.
yeah.
Um, and so I also at the time had a day job, and I love the job. It was wonderful, but at the same time, I I didn't have the time then to grow my studio.
Mm,
And so it was kind of this running cycle. It kind of felt like, of
mm,
I'm in this job that I love, but I still have this dream of running my own studio. But where is the time to
yeah.
build that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and okay, so not alone there either. We know this. This is a
Hmm.
common thing that a lot of musicians experience. Something that I really admire that you did early in this process is we were talking about the work it was going to take and what it was going to look like to grow the studio. One of the very first conversations that I remember having, and I don't know if you remember this, but we talked about a little bit of your schedule and where we could fit in the time. Not only just fit in the teaching hours, but also fit in like the work that had to happen to grow the studio and how we were going to navigate that around the full-time job. And you were really concerned, of course, with respecting the full-time job and making sure that like
Hmm.
everything was getting done there and we weren't slacking off or like showing up too exhausted or
Right.
anything to do that work and maintaining that. But from my perspective, you just kind of decided, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it felt like in my mind, you just decided, I know how to do this job really well. Not in an autopilot way, but like I do it really well. So it's it's easy. And because it's easy, I'm not going to stress about that, which means that all the energy that we could have spent stressing now gets to go towards my studio. Does that feel accurate?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it was not easy,
Yeah.
but it was something where I did have to reframe my mindset and reframe
Yeah.
priorities in a way. Not that I
Yeah.
wasn't no longer prioritizing this job, but I had to realize I need to have studio first and foremost because
Yeah.
that's why I went to my master's. And so I need to just reframe my mental energy in
Yeah.
that direction as much as possible, while still, of
Mm,
course, completing all my responsibilities and
yeah.
maintaining this day job as well that I did love.
Right.
But I had to set boundaries there and make sure that I still had the mental energy, the time, and
Mm.
everything in order to grow my studio. And I think if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have been able to quit this job as soon as I did.
Yeah. What's so interesting about that too, and like reframing that mental energy, I think it's so easy. I'm going to make an overgeneralization here, so bear with me for a moment. I think it's so easy when we're in this position of like I have a full-time job and now I'm trying to make this transition. It's easy to get stuck in the that's overwhelming. Like
Hmm.
it's stressful to think about leaving my job, it's stressful to think about losing that income, it's stressful to think about the transition. And so therefore, we freeze a little bit.
Hmm.
And I think,
Yes.
when I say like it's easy, that was sort of the reframe that I saw you take of like,
Hmm.
I know this job and I'm good at this job, so I can do this job the way that I've always done it in a really
Hmm.
professional, high quality manner. And I'm not going to let that stress eat me up
Yes.
and take all the time. And I'm part of the reason I'm bringing this up is because I see it happen so much with a lot of studios, and that's not a good or a bad thing. Like it just happens to all of us. Like it is
Hmm.
overwhelming to make that transition. It felt like very early on there was a big shift in your mindset of it is scary, but like you said right away, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that decision I think is a huge part of why we are here. If I can just point out a pattern, it was hard because we were concerned in the beginning there aren't string programs in the area. It's going to be hard, but we're going to do it anyway. I'm going to have to leave
Hmm.
my job and that's scary. And so it's going to be difficult, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like you've said this a couple different times and ways. And it's something I just want to call out because I think that decision is really admirable and also so difficult to make.
Yes. Oh my, that's been just the motto of my life these past like 5 years, honestly.
Mm,
Yes, 100%. Because I mean, it's just, like I said, just even the decision to finally jump into following this dream,
yeah.
that was already a scary decision because I didn't have the business
Mm,
knowledge at all. And I ended up when I did that, I was on track to go to grad school for a completely different, I was going for like musicology,
right.
to become a professor. And and I ended up uh, saying that I wasn't going to go to this other grad school in order to then start auditioning and applying for string pedagogy programs instead, in
Mm.
order to go this other route. Um, so that already, like, that's kind of when it all started. It was all very, very scary. Um, but I did it anyway, and I'm so happy that I did.
Oh, gosh, I am too. I'm so proud of you. Like that is not an easy decision to make, and that
No.
like pattern of giving yourself permission to like take the little jump anyway is it's important. It's impactful, and obviously, again, it's a big part of why we're here. Makes me think. I heard a podcast this week. They were talking about how sometimes it feels like in life, when especially when you've got this like in between stage that we're discussing, it feels like you're walking a tightrope, right? Like
Mm.
you're kind of stuck between having to maintain what you've already been doing and then you have to add in this other thing. And it's a little stressful. And they said when you're walking this tightrope, you know the dream is at the other end, but it also feels like there's a 10,000 foot drop. And if you take one wrong step, everything comes crashing down and like life is over and it's awful. In reality, it might be more like, okay, yeah, we're on the tightrope and the dream is at the end, but maybe it's like a couple inches down to a concrete slab. We're like, yeah, if we take a wrong step, we could still take like a little bump or a bruise, but we're going to be okay. Like
Yes.
we have skills and knowledge, and kind of telling yourself that and reframing is really impactful. It came up for me again as you were talking, and I wanted to share that because I think that decision of I'm going to figure it out, it's going to be okay. Like, yeah, I'm scared, I'm still on a tightrope, but maybe the fall is going to be a little bit shorter. I think that mindset really makes a difference in moving things forward. Oh, I'm so excited
100%.
about this.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and because of the Outside the Box program here, I now know that, if should anything happen where I lose 10 students or something,
Mm.
I know and I have the skills to build it back up again. And so that's been such a like calming thing for me. I didn't just happen to get to this point. I put in the work, and I know what I need to do again should anything happen where I lose a bunch of students or something and need to rebuild my studio.
That is so stinking cool to hear. It's so cool because I think that mindset of like, what if it all goes away tomorrow? I think that's also something that really holds us back. So having that,
Mhm.
like you said, like that safety net of, yeah, but I know what I'm doing now. I have the knowledge and the skills.
Mhm.
That's so important. If we can't, let's talk a little bit how we built those knowledge and skills. Let's go down that rabbit hole for a second. You put in the work. What did that
Mhm.
work look like?
I um I built well, with your help, with Isaac's help, I built a fantastic website. I've been
Mm,
getting a lot of my students through the form on that website. Just people
fabulous.
finding me recently. I just out of curiosity, I was like, what if I took mandolin lessons? Like, I don't know. It just crossed my mind. And so
That's
I
fun.
Googled mandolin lessons in this area. And my studio popped up first, even though I don't teach mandolin. But
Well,
then I was even more curious and I was like, well, what if I look up like violin lessons or cello lessons?
yeah,
And my studio is like near the top with each of those. And so that has been
that helps.
wonderful. Yes.
That helps.
Yes. And then I did lots of school visits. I built up some really great relationships with teachers in this area, even teachers that aren't strings teachers, but also I have these really great relationships now where we're on like a emailing often basis
Mm,
because we share students or through like solo and ensemble, or I just did so many visits there that we're now like we're on a emailing often business or
professional
basis.
friends.
Yes, professional friends.
Yeah.
And so anytime, I need something or I need to contact them, it's like quick. They respond very
Mm.
quickly. So that's fantastic. I love that I've got these relationships built. Um, and and I also was doing some social media posts and everything as well, and that is a lot of work to do these reels,
Yeah.
once a week. And for a little bit here, I kind of, with so many students and with the transition out of my day job, I had to take a little pause on that, but I'm getting back into it again. Um, but yeah, that, and then just I now am putting uh, more time into
Mm.
planning students' lessons, and my teaching has really improved as well with that. So I think that's a lot of work there just to maintain
Yeah.
these students. And I've had a really successful, like, once a student actually joins, they're staying. And so that's been so wonderful that they see the work that I am putting in to give them really quality lessons. And I've only had a few actually drop.
Mm.
And so that's been huge, huge part of the process. And uh, there was one other thing I was going to mention, and
Well,
it
can
slipped my
I
mind.
suggest,
Yeah,
like, you told me right before we recorded about your summer retention, like,
yeah,
success, and I
yes,
think I want you to tell me that story again because that is such a great, like, just sign of the trust and the value that your students see in what you're
yeah,
offering. So,
yeah,
okay, I won't give it all away. Please go ahead, but
yeah. Of
I'm so
course.
excited about this.
I I right after I quit my day job, I had several students reach out to me and say that they were going to take a break for the summer. It was a little bit stressful in the moment,
Yeah, absolutely.
and but I remembered what you had mentioned about, well, realistically, if I were to grow over the summer, I cannot guarantee them a spot if they're not paying for it. So it is totally a valid statement to tell them, oh, I completely understand, but just so that you're aware, I
Yeah,
wouldn't be able to guarantee your lesson spot come fall, when you want to start back up again. So I'm happy to work with you with around your summer schedule. I'm happy to give some, maybe we can work out having less lessons, every other week, things like that. I have a lot more flexibility over the summer, kind of thing.
yeah.
And all of them were fine with that. And they wanted to stay. And they
Mm.
worked with me and they worked with my schedule. And so I didn't have any drop for the summer. And it was stressful at first, but I was like, okay, we're good. And it
Yeah.
worked and it was wonderful. And now I don't have to worry about trying to accommodate them in the fall because I have them for for the entire summer still, even
Yeah.
with just less lessons, but that's
Ugh.
fine.
Well, and you're right. Like if they come back in the fall, like worst case scenario, you tell them like, hey, just so you know, like studio's growing. I've added a lot of students recently. I don't know what fall looks like, so I just can't promise anything if we take the break for the summer. If they come back in the fall and you didn't tell them that, and
Right.
now you have no spot because you didn't know they were returning,
Right.
or you held that spot and they don't return, like
Exactly.
having that open communication, folks, is just so helpful. And then
Hmm.
also, what a great sign that they like you, that they value what you're
Yeah.
doing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they like working in the studio. That is just such an exciting, like, piece of social proof to yourself. That, like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
I am good at this. Like, I do offer a really good service.
Yeah.
I know
Uh,
we've talked a lot about the business and the growth, and we've enrolled, what did we say, 18 students have been added to the studio,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
almost 4x revenue. Like, there's a lot of great things happening there on the data point. But something else you brought up this morning was your work life balance
Hmm.
and the other areas that you're feeling more like personally and artistically fulfilled with this change in your life. So tell me a little bit more about the dream studio, because it wasn't just teaching that has created this dream life for you.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the reasons that I wanted to do this was to have the flexibility, the work-life balance, slow mornings,
Mm.
um, these kinds of ideas, and flexibility with my schedule. Um, and so I have more time for my hobbies. I love plants and gardening, and my students all know it. I have this just huge plant stand right in front of the window in the studio here, and plants here. Um, and I have time for like a bigger garden now this summer.
Oh, that's
And so I
awesome.
have a huge garden now in the back. And so, and also along with this, I have more time for gigging as well. Um, which last year, around this time when I had the day job and I was teaching, I was doing some gigging. It was really difficult. And
Mm,
also, a lot of these gigs I was traveling uh, all the way to Columbus for, which was not necessarily an easy drive. And a lot of time there, it would be like an entire weekend kind of thing. Um, and so it was exhausting when I was doing that last summer, and now I am from the uh, from the business knowledge that I have gotten through the Outside the Box program. I've actually applied that also uh, to my gigging and freelancing there as well. Um, and so I have several wedding gigs already set up for the summer and fall. Um, Thanks to the relationships that I've built through
mm,
my studio, and also just knowing what I need to do to market myself as well.
yeah.
And I am now also uh, I actually have a contract for them. So I'm like doing it the right way and everything. Uh, and yeah, and all these wedding gigs are like local,
Mm,
and not longer than an hour away. So that's huge for me.
mm,
And now that I have more time to practice for these as well, I'm
yeah.
willing to take on more. And so yeah, it's made a huge difference, and I'm so excited.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. I'm just like hearing, gosh, I wish we could like side by side just even your like aura and presence from a year ago, because when we have these dreams, I think like I remember in our first conversations, you felt maybe just a little defeated. And not
Mm,
defeated because like again, you enjoyed your job, things were going really well in your life, but
mhm,
this was the dream, and we had students, but it was just slow and like not understanding
mhm.
what to do in like the next steps, and everything was feeling really frustrating. It's it's so cool to see this version of Lydia. Like the growth that you've done, you've put in so much work and time and energy and effort to becoming just a really good musical citizen in your local area and becoming really plugged in, and that's leading to so many incredible things. And again, a great statement that people enjoy working with you and they want to work with you more, and we're getting, gigs and opportunities to work with other musicians as a result, plus more students, all these great things. But it's just so exciting to see that change in you, and it sounds like it feels really good to have that change
It
happen too.
is. Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's so wonderful. I mean, like
Mm,
just my whole mindset, everything is so much different from a year ago, and I just feel like I actually like hit that peak.
mm.
And it's amazing, and it came quicker than I could have ever imagined. And it's yeah, it's so wonderful.
Oh, I'm so excited and so proud of you. Oh my gosh. Oh,
Thank
okay,
you.
like final thing I want to ask, just if we jump back to that past Lydia that was feeling a little bit frustrated in our initial meetings, what made you decide that this was the right fit, and what, kind of like kicked you over the fence, so to speak, on working with outside the box?
Honestly, it was just, well, I mean, you are a wonderful person, first of all.
Thank
We
you.
get along so well. I just felt instantly like connected to you,
Mm,
and felt like you knew exactly what I was going through and understood, and you empathized. So that was a huge part of it. But also, what really sparked the interest initially when I first came across like one of your reels, it was you were just so detailed in
mm,
this is exactly what you need to do. And you had like a step by step process that you knew was going to work. And that was so important because so much of what I had heard before with marketing especially was just, oh well, just try everything.
Mm,
See what works. Whereas you were like, no, you need to focus on 3 areas, put all your time and energy into these three. Um, and these are the ones that work. And if we figure out that one isn't working, then maybe we can bring in another one and try that. But otherwise, I just loved, especially with me being in a job at the
yeah,
time
a
alongside
little
the studio. I
busy.
was like, I
A
don't
little
have time to
busy.
try everything. And so that
There is
was,
that, yeah.
yes. That was so important. That was a huge part of why I decided to go through the outside the box studio.
It's been such a treat working with you and seeing this growth. And like, I know we've been talking about scheduling the interview for a little while, and you sent me an email, like, what, 2 or 3 weeks ago now, letting me know that you'd left your full time job.
Yes.
I just want to let you know, like, I screenshot that email and I put it in my like little nice file to
Oh.
myself of like, it just makes me so excited and proud when I get to see, when I see the growth that you've accomplished. It like, this is artistically fulfilling for me. Like, I think about all the students that you're working with and all the students that you're impacting that may otherwise not have had an opportunity to be in a string program, and like, that is so stinking cool. Like, it's amazing to see your
Yeah.
studio grow, which therefore means, like, yeah, the business part of it's awesome and amazing, and like how it's impacting your life is so important. And also it's impacting 27 other students and all of their families. And like, that's just the beginning. Of course, we've got a lot more to go, which is really exciting. But that is so important in the work that we're doing and the growth that you're experiencing. And I'm just, yeah, I'm so excited for you. I know I just keep saying that, but like, it's really cool to see. Really cool to see. Oh,
Thank you so much for all your help in that. It
Lydia,
changed my life for sure. Yeah.
thank you for saying that. That means a lot to me too. Oh my gosh. Okay, before I get too emotional, tell me maybe like final thing, and then we'll let you go for the day. If there was one thing that you wish you knew, let's say a year ago, like you said, what is something that Lydia a year ago maybe needed to hear from you today?
Hmm. I think when I first started the studio, I was coming back to the area that I was originally from, and I thought that people would just remember me
Mm,
from back then when I was teaching some,
yeah.
and that they would just come at that point. And then I felt very much like when they weren't coming,
Mm,
that people just didn't know I existed. And that was one reason why I was feeling really defeated and I didn't know how to overcome that. And then I realized that I just need to come out of my shell and make people realize that I exist. And that's by getting more involved in the community. That's by going and doing these school visits. It's coming out of my comfort zone. And so I guess I wish I could have told myself that at the beginning, like, just come out of your comfort zone, make people realize that you
mm,
exist, and then you will get students, and then you will get these gigs, and then you will be a successful musician in this community.
mm. And you're clearly not annoying people when you're making them aware of your existence, because they keep giving you opportunities to get more work and to make more music. So like, I think that's like that other reframe of like, it's outside of my comfort zone because I'm worried about judgment, right? But like, then you start making reels and people are like, oh, wow, Lydia knows what she's talking about. Or you reach out to schools and like, actually, yeah, it'd be great if you came in for a school visit. We'd love to send
Yeah.
students your way. And that affirmation is really important too. So gosh, I'm proud of you for taking those steps. I'm so excited for the growth that you've had in the studio. It really has been
Thank
lovely
you.
working with you. If people wanted, especially on your social media, because I know you've been doing some really great work there lately, if people wanted to find you on the internet, how could they do so?
Well, my website is butterfieldmusicacademy.com, and my social media, you can find me Butterfield Music Academy as well. Butterfield spelled literally as it is said, butter and field. So, Yeah.
And seriously, Lydia's doing a lot of great work on Reels right now. So if that's something that you're thinking about, like I just think that's a great modeling too, because you're putting out some really great content of you teaching and stories and things like that. So yeah, excited to see that continue to grow too. Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing all of this. I know you kind of run the full gambit to like the business side and the personal emotional side too. So thank you for sharing everything. It's been such a treat catching up. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.